Welcome to this investigative explainer. Today, we're opening the case file on a heartbreaking and, frankly, deeply confusing mystery out of Sahiwal, Pakistan. As an investigative reporter, you see a lot of strange cases cross your desk. But this one, it really stands out. And that's because there's a massive, glaring contrast in how the local community and the police view the exact same set of facts. We're looking at a localized tragedy that has left absolutely everyone searching for answers. Let's get into it. The entire core of this case revolves around a truly devastating discovery. Two young children found deceased inside a traditional mud bin used for storing flour. It's a super common fixture in homes around there. But the main question, the one that has completely split this community right down the middle, is this. Are we looking at a cold-blooded murder or just an unimaginable, tragic accident? The police, the family, and the local elders all have totally different perspectives on this. So let's break down the evidence we have so far. Case File 01, The Tragic Discovery. Okay, let's start with the hard facts of the crime scene. This is in Mauza Bashira, an area operating under the jurisdiction of the Bahadur Shah police station. The timeline here is absolutely critical. At 1 a.m., the police emergency 15 hotline gets a frantic call. Officers arrive, sweep the family home, and immediately spot a red flag. One specific room is completely locked. They bypass the lock, get inside, and begin their search. And that's when they made the horrific discovery. Hidden away inside a large, heavy mud bin, the kind used to store months' worth of grain, were the bodies of the two missing kids.
Case File 02, The Mother's Account.
Now, almost immediately, local police pointed their suspicion right at the mother, who was there at the house. But her stated timeline presents a totally different narrative. According to her alibi, she put the kids down for a nap around 1 p.m. and dozed off herself. She claims she woke up just an hour later at 2 p.m. and the children were just gone. By 4 p.m., she says she noticed the outer door was open, panicked, and started a frantic neighborhood search, even running over to check her in-laws' place. This desperate hunt, according to her, went on for hours until the authorities finally showed up at 1 a.m. And she vehemently denies the murder accusations. Speaking through tears to reporters, her statement was unwavering. She did not kill her children. She insists they simply vanished while she was sleeping. Look, she doesn't see herself as a suspect at all. She views herself as a grieving mother, literally pleading for evidence to show who or what wronged her kids. And this right here perfectly illustrates the core tension of the entire case. On one side, you have the mother's claim. She's a frantic victim of circumstance, desperately looking for her missing children. On the exact opposite side, you have the police response. They were so convinced of foul play that they arrested her on the spot. And it gets darker. She actually alleges that the police subjected her to a brutal 3-hour interrogation, using physical force to try and extract a confession. A confession, by the way, she completely refused to give because she maintains 100% innocence.
Case File 03, The Detached Father.
Okay, so we have to talk about the other parent in the house, Mohammed Sarwar. When reporters questioned the father about his children's sudden deaths and his wife being hauled off to jail, his response was, well, it's a huge investigative anomaly. Total detachment. He just stated he wasn't there. Astonishingly, he claimed to have absolutely no idea how his kids ended up in that flour bin, and he said he knew zero about his wife's interrogation or the active police investigation. He essentially just scrubbed himself from the narrative entirely, leaving his wife completely isolated in her version of events. Case File 04, The Community's Perspective. In local mysteries like this, what the neighbors see and hear is absolutely crucial witness testimony. And here, the community elders provide a third perspective that completely fractures the timeline we've talked about so far. Locals report that the mother actually approached them at their gathering spot, the Dira, at 10:30 p.m. She was deeply distressed and asked them to make a public announcement over the mosque loudspeakers to help find her kids. But the elders told her, hey, it's way too late, people are sleeping, just wait until morning. It wasn't until a couple of hours later, at 1 a.m., that the police actually showed up after the emergency call. What's really surprising about all this is what the community leaders firmly believe happened. Even with the police heavily suspecting murder, the elders are actively advocating for an accidental death theory. They honestly believe the children were hiding because they were afraid of their mother, climbed into that heavy flour bin, and tragically suffocated. When they look at that locked room, they don't see a malicious crime scene. They see a fatal, terrible game of hide-and-seek.
Case File 05, The Active Investigation.
So this massive gap between what the police suspect and what the community believes actually led to some unprecedented action. When the mother was first locked up, the local elders stepped right in and went directly to the district police officer. They made a really strong humanitarian appeal. Look, this woman has 3 surviving kids at home, including a breastfeeding baby who desperately needs her. And it worked. They successfully demanded her temporary release, arguing that she absolutely shouldn't be detained without concrete, scientific proof from an official medical report. Which brings us to where we are right now. The investigation is essentially on pause, just waiting for the science to come through and act as the ultimate judge. Step 1 is this agonizing wait for the official forensic and autopsy reports to come back from Lahore. Step 2 will be using those findings to scientifically determine the exact cause of death. Can forensics actually prove this was deliberate murder, or does it point to accidental asphyxiation? Finally, step 3, formal legal action is only going to resume if that scientific evidence conclusively proves foul play. As we wrap up this explainer, the entire community of Mozabashira is just holding its breath. We have a mother mourning under a heavy cloud of suspicion, a father who remains strangely distant, and authorities waiting for her daughter. So we're left with the ultimate question. What are the forensics from Lahore actually going to reveal? Will the hard science confirm a heartbreaking childhood accident, or is it going to validate the police's absolute darkest suspicions? Until that report lands on a desk, the Sahiwal flower bin tragedy remains a devastating unsolved mystery. Thanks for joining me to unpack this, and remember to always keep questioning the evidence.